Hello F1 fans, welcome back to one of probably the last or second to last episode of the F1 Masters podcast brought to you by AUBG Daily. As per usual, you're with me, Vasco, Harry, David, and today we'll discuss the Miami Grand Prix after a long break from races. Gentlemen?
So first off, we had a practice session which was 90 minutes because also as we know, during this so-called break, FIA decided to modify the rules a bit, so that's why the teams had a chance to test out what has been modified with the cars. So to summarize, Leclerc, Verstappen and Piastri were quick, and Mercedes seemed like their pace was not there. They were P5 and 6 in practice. And moving on to sprint quali, I mean, Mercedes kind of showed that their pace is still there, because Kimi Antonelli was P2, even though Lando Norris got pole position. And other than that, we had Oscar Piastri P3, Charles Leclerc P4, Verstappen P5, Russell P6, and both Alpines were in SQ3, which was pretty impressive from the team.
They were also in Q3 in the actual qualifying session, and it looks like, at least for quali pace, that they have brought some upgrades, and it is visible. And actually, probably one of the predictions that we had before the season, that Alpine would be quick and they would probably be in that best of the rest spot, is finally turning out to be true. And strangely, Colapinto has pace.
Yeah.
Colapinto had one of his best weekends, if not his best weekend in F1 as a whole. Very impressive.
Didn't he make his first appearance as a substitute driver in Miami the first time that he was
with Williams?
Yeah.
No, it was in I think Azerbaijan, was it not?
Yeah, it was later in the season, right?
Yeah, when Logan Sargent lost his seat after Zandvoort.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it was either Azerbaijan or Monza. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
I have a strange memory, like him getting points in Miami. Sometimes in the past it can be Mondeo effect.
It was a different circuit, maybe.
I thought it was Baku or
maybe
or Monza. I think those were his best races, or Singapore maybe.
Yeah.
But he was very good. The sprint race, we had a sprint race, of course, and it was. I would say after the start, it kind of died down. It wasn't really that interesting. It was a sprint race, but. The winner was Lando Norris, actually, and it was a McLaren 1-2, and they kind of dominated from the beginning. After a poor start from Kimi Antonelli, which is
nothing new,
and he didn't really manage to recover it. He only managed P6, actually, which is quite a poor race from his standards.
This was actually after the penalties for track limits were applied, so yeah.
Yeah, but even without the penalties, he still wasn't having that great of a race. Other than that, there was nothing really else to say. I mean, Charles Leclerc rounded out the podium, but someone that was impressing me was actually Max Verstappen. He had much more pace than in previous race weeks. I think the Red Bull has actually severely improved compared to previous races, so it was a good sign. He was in the mix with the front runners, which I think was definitely the aim for them going into this weekend. So he had pretty good pace, finished 5th, and
and great weekend for Verstappen. He managed to capitalize on that. He didn't have the fastest car, of course, but at the same time in quali he was pretty fast and he managed to gather much needed points. But on the contrary side, it was Isaac Hadjar, who I expected him to be much better throughout the weekend, because with upgrades and with faster car, this is the perfect moment to show that everybody knows that you're not Max Verstappen level, but also everybody knows that when you have a better car, you should perform better, and it was a disaster class of a performance this weekend. So a weekend to forget, and moving on, he'll need to step up.
Yeah, he was disqualified from quali because of some technical infringements, and also I think the team modified the car during park formula conditions, so he started from the pit lane. And after that, we'll talk about his race later, but speaking of quali, as Vasco said, both Alpine cars were gaining Q3. Other than that, the top 10, we had Russell P5, quite a lowly position for him. Norris P4, Leclerc P3, Verstappen P2, and Kimi Antonelli got another pole position. So really impressive from the young Italian.
Yeah, I was surprised because Mercedes didn't seem like they had a lot of pace at the start of the weekend, but then they kept improving and got that pole position in the end. And Verstappen to be on the front row, I don't think anyone expected that. So great pace from him as well. And I thought he would have been a bigger contender in the race, but I mean, after the start, it was clear that he was going to have an uphill battle.
It was the race start as well as the the strategy after that, which is like the Red Bull team expected to have better pace with these hards, but they degraded not pretty fast, but they degraded to a really serious level, and by the end of the race he didn't have any pace.
Yeah, the race start I think was one of the highlights of the race, surely. Another slow getaway for Kimi Antonelli. It has happened I don't know how many times this year, and him and Verstappen locked up into turn 1, and Leclerc had to avoid both of them. It was quite an interesting battle there. But he managed to take P1, and after that, at the next corner, Max Verstappen had a dramatic spin. It was something really unusual for him. Like, we usually don't see him doing such things at starts, especially.
He was so close to Leclerc that at first it looked like they collided.
Yeah, but then after the replays from different angles, we saw that. Yeah,
it was just really strange braking.
Yeah,
but.
Leclerc spun like the exact same way on the last lap as well.
Yeah, it is.
So I feel like, I don't know, was
crazy.
it the corner maybe? I don't know why.
I guess.
These kind of errors. It's kind of a strange corner, I thought, to just lose the back end, but
yeah.
I was surprised that Verstappen stayed in the race and did not collide with anybody.
Yeah, there were so many cars behind him. Like it was chaos. And after that, later in the first lap, we had an incident, let's say, between Colapinto and Hamilton, who collided because they pushed each other off the track, and then Hamilton overtook him back and showed him the finger. It was not very sportsmanlike, but he was pissed off. So yeah, I mean,
I thought that it was a very aggressive opening lap from all of the drivers. Really, I was surprised at how Max missed turn 1 like that. I mean, he was very aggressive the whole race, very late braking, and it really reminded me kind of like a 2021 Verstappen, who under any means necessary will try to keep that place, and he was overdoing it at times, and as a result it was costing him, but it was a really good start. But after the start, things were beginning to get in position. Antonelli got into the lead on lap 4 very quickly after the start, which I was surprised. I actually thought that Leclerc was going to stay in the lead for much longer than that, at least for the first stint, but I guess the Mercedes race pace is still a huge advantage, and it's kind of frustrating because Kimi Antonelli is getting all of these results, I feel without earning them in a way, because he's had terrible starts constantly, and he's just, I feel getting bailed out by the car. I mean, still impressive to be this consistent, but I'm not really that impressed with his performances, but he is dominating George Russell in comparison, so I guess in the situation where you have the best car, if you're beating your teammate, that's the most important thing you need to be doing.
What is happening with George Russell?
Yeah, this was kind of very, I don't know. He was in a no man's land throughout almost the entire weekend.
As per usual, but in the past, when he didn't have the fastest car, it was oh, Mr. Consistent, he's always there, and he's oh yeah, he would have that third place without anybody noticing, but when you have the fastest car, you need to step up. And especially when your teammate is much younger, much more inexperienced, and you should be the team leader, and you're in that position, and 5 races into the season, and you're already 20 points behind 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, nobody expected like such a turnout of events at the beginning of the season, but here we are. I mean, this was probably Russell's worst weekend so far of the season. It was like pretty, as I said, like he could not just have the same pace as Antonelli. He was like really, he finished P4. Okay, that's not like too bad, but still, considering that he finished 43 seconds behind Antonelli, it's not very promising.
Yeah. And he was actually close to finishing 5th. Also,
yeah.
He was going to if it wasn't for Charles Leclerc spinning on the last lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also he was behind Verstappen for like when did George overtake Verstappen?
I think a few laps before the end. I feel. Like.
Yeah, and that is the thing, that like one less lap and no strange penalty for Verstappen and no issues for Leclerc, and George would have been 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the second consecutive race without the podium, which, I mean, it's not too long, but for that Mercedes, like, after the start of the season, I was expecting this team to be finishing 1-2 every race. So
yeah.
These are concerning results. Luckily for him, the likes of the Ferraris and the McLarens are constantly taking points off each other, so they are like dramatically falling back. But when your teammate is winning 3 races in a row now, it's very concerning. I think Canada's generally been a good track for George Russell in the past, so I would expect him to bounce back here, although this is also the track where Kimi Antonelli scored his first podium, so I would expect good pace from both of them at Canada.
Canada is a great track for F1 in general, so I expect a really cool race.
Yeah, and as David mentioned, Ferrari and McLaren, I think that we should talk about these teams as well. Especially Ferrari, who had another slow pit stop this time. It was for Charles. I mean, yeah, it was kind of, he was fighting for like podium like potentially.
He was leading the race.
Yeah, I know that later on he was going to be overtaken by Antonelli probably. I wasn't sure about the McLarens though, because their pace seemed to be like similar. But yeah, I mean, Ferrari, and also Lewis Hamilton was pretty much nowhere to be seen the entire race. He was just like sitting in P7, and then he got P6 eventually because of the penalty that Leclerc receives. But yeah.
Before the penalty, actually, Hamilton was closer to time to call a Pinto compared to Verstappen, which says a lot.
Yeah, it was a Ferrari were just like such a 2025 like performance from them. Like I don't know, they had no pace. They supposedly brought so many upgrades, and like they were slower than before. I mean, McLaren were great, and although Charles still, I think, had the capabilities to fight with the McLarens, and he was fighting with Oscar for that final podium spot, like that ending is just such a loss of points, like unnecessary loss of points, that this is what happens usually with Ferrari, and McLaren are closing in double podium, which, I mean, incredible for them. I mean, 2 races ago they could not get on the grid, and now they're here getting double podiums, and they're looking much more like
winning the sprint as well.
Yeah, winning 1-2 in the sprint. It looks like they are really picking it up, and I think they are obviously far behind Mercedes, but if they can start even getting race wins as well, I mean, we saw Piastri in Japan very likely would have won that race if it wasn't for the safety car. So if they can start taking these wins off of Mercedes, we can have some kind of championship fight on our hands, but they need to consistently have these results. But I really like what I saw from McLaren. Super improvement from them, and Ferrari are in crisis mode once again.
And also shout out to Lando Norris, who had a really good weekend, I can say. And he was calm when he was driving, and he did exactly almost everything that he did was the right thing. And that is why I expect the next race in Canada to finally have a different winner than Mercedes. And if I have to gamble my money on somebody, then that would most probably be Lando Norris.
Oscar was also great this weekend.
Yeah, Oscar was also fast, but it is still that I didn't expect like Wando to be that consistent still. But yeah, the world champion. So I can say that he's picking up the pace.
Yeah, someone who isn't picking up the pace is Isaac Hadjar, who like it was probably lap 5 or I don't know which lap, but he was like fighting with in the midfield, and then right after he overtook someone, he was in the tight section in the middle of the track, and he just clipped the wall, and then
Yes, but
the car.
he was not pressured.
Yeah,
by anybody. He just decided to between two of the turns. He just decided to go straight forward to the wall.
No, I think
And
that
he was.
clipped the wall and it broke his steering, and
Yeah.
then he couldn't turn properly, so his car just.
Yeah, and he was
turned
quite.
into the wall willingly.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
And he was quite pissed after that. And
Yeah, he
in
was.
general, he should be quite pissed from the weekend because, as I said, you have a better car now, and nobody expects from you to get wins or podiums or whatever, but at least to be in the points, to be consistent, and to bring your team what you're expected to do. You're not the team leader, you're not a rookie anymore, and you have that great opportunity. You need to step up.
The whole incident was like such a driver error, like such a clumsy driver error. Reminded me of when Jack Doohan didn't close his DRS in Suzuka. Like it's that level of stupidity. I felt like that incident, like such a not even like rookie error. Like I don't even like unexcusable error in my opinion for Isaac Hadjar, and like very unexpected because at the start of the season we were discussing how he actually has pretty good pace in qualifying, pretty close to Verstappen, sometimes beating him, and it was looking like they were kind of or well matched, but this weekend like totally opposite spectrum.
Yeah, like
of
two different
performance.
worlds.
And now 4 races in, and Red Bull have 30 points, and Isaac Hadjar only has 4 of those points, so he needs to step up for sure. But someone that did step up was Franco Colapinto. We already touched on it earlier, but just flawless performance. Like
Throughout the whole weekend,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah,
like-
he didn't get points from the sprint, but he was really good throughout the race, and that Alpine seems to have the pace.
and he out-qualified Pierre Gasly both quality sessions.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is Pierre Gasly, who is notorious at incredible qualifying. So
Yeah. And speaking of Pierre Gasly, he participated in a really weird incident. We don't see this often because, so basically, I think that Liam Lawson hit anti-stall like when he was braking, and then his car just couldn't brake properly.
so
I think.
weird.
Yeah,
How
and
do
then
you get anti-stall mid?
yeah, I've never seen this. And then he
Braking.
just flipped Pierre Gasly, even though Pierre landed on the right, side of
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
when I was watching it live, I was thinking, well, once again a pilot saved by the halo, because
Yeah.
it was a pretty scary incident when you think about it. The car turned upside down like twice, and
I remember when they showed the car, like how it was positioned in the bear. I'm like, okay, how did because it was at such a weird angle.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how did this happen? Like,
yeah, one of the wheels was on the wall, like it was over the wall.
yeah, and
so-
I didn't see another car, and I was like, this is very strange. There's no way this happened by himself.
Yeah, I knew that someone else was involved, and then after the replay, we
yeah,
saw it.
that was strange.
Yeah, but I don't know, was it like a technical error with the car? Because I don't think that Liam Lawson was at fault. I'm not sure. Like, I think that the car just had a technical
Yeah,
problem.
I think that it's not also Gasly's fault, which is like a
Well,
really strange
yeah.
incident.
Yeah.
Because he was ahead in the corner, and then Liam Lawson just like decided to also go into the corner at the same time. And,
Yeah.
there was no space for him. But yeah, I
Also,
mean,
shout out to Williams.
yeah,
Shout
they
out
had
to
double
Williams.
points.
Double points.
Yeah.
Their car is still not looking
Well,
good.
they got double points thanks to this crash. Like they were gonna get 0 points. if
Oh
it
yes,
wasn't
but
this
still,
crash.
3 points for the team are better than no points, and
Absolutely.
you have to get like you have to capitalize on your opponent's mistakes, and
But they still had no pace.
that's the
Yeah.
case. Well, yeah, we'll see. We had much more expectations before the start of the testing, and then they didn't even show up in Barcelona, and after that they're not looking good. The strange thing is that I was quite sure that they're going to be the fifth team. They're going to be the best of the rest before the start of the test. And right now, the strange thing is that they look closer to pace to Audi, or even not sure about Cadillac, but yeah, they may be closer to Cadillac to pace compared to, let's say, the best of the rest during certain weekends. Let's say whether this is going to be Alpine or Haas.
They regularly get knocked out in Q1, the two Williams cars, and like they're lucky that they managed to capitalize on this. And they also like Haas had terrible pace this weekend, which was very strange for the first time this season. Ollie Behrman had an incredible start to the season. This weekend, they were kind of nowhere. Audi were kind of off the pace.
Yeah, and Hülkenberg retired because he had a technical problem, I think. So, yeah. I mean, Bortoletto was P12, which is not bad, but yeah. Ollie Behrman was P11, really close to the points, but Haas were really...
But there were 4 retirements.
Yeah, so. And it seemed like they don't have the same paces in the previous races.
We'll see in Canada. Everything can be different in Canada.
Yeah.
And... to address the elephant in the room, Aston Martin, they continue to be worse than we expected, which is crazy. And they didn't bring a single upgrade after a 5-week break. Yeah. And it is not like they're some small team and they don't have finances and they don't have the stuff. They have Adrian Newey. They have so much money. They have the crew. They have so many people. I don't know what is wrong with that team. I don't know what is happening, but this is unacceptable.
They're just mismanaged. I mean, like while Lawrence Stroll is the owner of this team will never prosper, and it has never prospered, and it will never prosper because it is an incompetently led organization. I mean, the whole Adrian Newey thing, like, it was, in my opinion, it was blown out of proportion because it's still Lawrence Stroll's team, and even if Adrian Newey is a genius, he was hired to be the team principal, and then 2 months in, he was like, okay, I'm no longer going to be the team principal because this is not what he's done before, so it's totally mismanaged, and... You know, Fernando Alonso will leave the sport at the end of the season. I mean, there's no point for him to continue. Why would he continue? I would even give up halfway through the season based on this car. It's just, why would he drive this? Why would he waste his time as a world champion driving this garbage at his age? So, and once Fernando Alonso leaves, good luck finding a driver even 1/3 as good as him. And paired alongside Lance Stroll, this is set up for a disaster. So until the Stroll family is out of this organization, it will continue to fail.
But the interesting thing is that, like, I saw in the media last week that Alonso said he is not certain that he's going to retire, even though I feel like he has already made the decision. He's just like playing with the media. He doesn't want to announce it yet. Maybe he's going to announce it in the summer break.
Even something like that. The same way Vettel, actually. I think it was during the summer break.
Yeah, I think he created his Instagram account and he posted like a really emotional video of it. So
I'm not gonna lie, I cried a bit.
Yeah, but actually Aston Martin were not exactly last in this race because Valtteri Bottas finished 2 laps behind him and Antonelli, and they were only 1 lap behind. So just to like
I mean the Cadillac is still like slower. It's just like the Aston Martin's reliability is. I mean in sprint quali, like there was very popular graphic like their fastest quali time was slower than the slowest F2 time,
which was actually their development driver Mari Boy, I think, who's like Aston Martin Jr. But actually speaking of Cadillac, we saw Sergio Perez overtake someone. This was like I think the first overtake that Cadillac had in their F1 history.
And who was the driver who was overtaken?
I think it was Lance Stroll, I'm not sure.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but just to mention, just to acknowledge that Cadillac have actually began to, battle with others.
Well, Cadillac, they're not last in the constructors. So
they are.
Well, Lance Stroll creating history once again.
Yeah.
Of course.
What else can you say?
But before the season, imagine like if I was telling you like last December, do you know that Aston Martin would be fighting Cadillac? Like,
nobody.
It's crazy to think about it because a completely new team into the sport compared to one of the biggest financial wise and team wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's crazy.
like they definitely have as big of a budget as some of the top four teams, if not bigger budgets. For example, than McLaren. And they still can do anything. I mean, like also the Honda engine doesn't help. Which I mean, this is just it's like Honda. Whenever they see Fernando Alonso is driving their engine, they're like, no, we don't want him to represent us.
Yeah.
It is gradually going to GP3 engine.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
Karting engine.
Okay.
We can also discuss. I mean, like the last lap and
Yeah.
the whole Charles Leclerc situation. I mean, first of all, like the spin, and then hitting the wall. Like I thought it was unbelievable that he even continued. First of all,
Yeah, he didn't break anything on the car, which is impressive.
well, he did because he couldn't take half of the corners.
Yeah, but then the FIA stated that he could have taken them because he really cut like a few corners, and then like that's why they gave him the penalty, because they stated that there was not that much damage to the car.
But
From
he,
what I
he,
saw.
he was turning the steering wheel and the car was not turning.
Yeah.
Another strange weekend for decisions from the FIA, by the way.
Yeah.
Because also for the
Max.
Verstappen penalty, why they announced it like 3, 4, 5 hours
I
after.
didn't even know what it. I didn't even know what it was for initially. I thought it was like crossing the white line or something.
Yeah.
But it was very strange, and they gave him a penalty which was meaningless because he didn't change his position.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, very strange penalties.
Strange decisions.
I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, no, Charles Leclerc absolutely deserved the penalty, but it was just quite a chaotic last lap, and George Russell got bailed out of his weekend. It looked better than what it actually was.
Yeah.
So there is that.
And still, 13 less points than Antonelli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the race, so.
He
Yeah.
is
Overall, it's 20.
Yeah,
20
20
points.
Yeah, 20 in the
20
driver
points is-
standings. I
20
mean, in the.
points is after 4 rounds is nothing
Five,
really.
yeah.
Like it's still within a race.
It's
win.
nothing, but it is nothing. I was thinking about it. Like, at the beginning of the season, when you know that you are the fastest car, you should take every opportunity. And George is not doing that. And by the end of the season, that can come back and bite
But
him.
this has never happened to George Russell before. Like he has always been seen as someone that will absolutely do the maximum performance out of the car, and
And
that's why it was called
this
Mr.
is
Consistent.
strange.
he was
Yeah.
always in places where you wouldn't expect him to be.
Yeah, but also he was never in a real championship fight until now.
Yeah, he's never been in a
So,
championship
yeah.
fight, but considering the experience he has built up,
Yeah.
he should be expected. Like this is why he was expected to dominate this championship, and even after Australia, like we were expecting those kinds of performances. And the fact that after 4 races he only has 1 win, I don't think anyone would have expected this. And Kimi Antonelli, who is 19 years old, getting 3 wins in a row, which is and 3 pole positions in a row. He's the first person ever to win his first 3 pole positions consecutively, which
Yeah.
is quite unbelievable what he's doing at the
Yeah,
moment.
and only the third person to win 3 consecutive races, like his first ever wins.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
others are Damon Hill and Mika Hakkinen. So.
Yeah, and the 3
Yeah.
pole positions as well. The only others are Senna and Schumacher, which
Yeah,
is
which
like,
is incredible.
what are
company.
these names? Like he is,
Yeah.
and the points gaps. I mean, he is over 40 points ahead of third and below, which is
But also curiously, Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton have the same points tally, even though Lewis Hamilton right now is like not at his best, level.
McLaren started the season was
Yeah, but I feel like that McLaren are gradually going to, like especially Norris probably is
to
going
get
pick
better,
up.
of course.
It's still very early to say, but
Yeah.
McLaren's development. They've been always very good at development. So
We'll see. Okay. Before we go to highlights and everything else and predictions from the last time, because this is the last race recap, what do you expect till the end of the season? Like, who do you think is taking away the championship for drivers and for constructors? Did it actually change from your predictions before the start of the season?
That's
Um, I mean, my predictions before the season were George Russell to win, but Kimi Antonelli, I predicted him to be fourth. He's definitely finishing top two, I think, minimum. I still think Kimi Antonelli eventually will find a way to lose points, whether it's his own doing or something else. Because if you look at the sprint races, he finished fifth in China and sixth in Miami in the sprints, which was, he's lucky that those were sprint races and those don't really mean much. But if he has these kinds of performances in races, which I expect eventually to happen, I think he could very well lose this lead. I would still expect George Russell to bounce back. I think he's just in a poor form at the moment, but his experience should still help him win that first place. And as for third place, I think the two Mercedes should finish 1-2 in the championship. But third place, I mean, judging by McLaren's improvement, I would say Oscar Piastri could finish third in the championship. This would be my guess, and McLaren will finish second in the constructors out of Ferrari.
Yeah, I'm still backing Mercedes to win the Constructors' Championship, and after that McLaren, and yeah, after that Ferrari. It looks like if they don't change something dramatically, then it is going to be another season that here and there you'll get a podium, but it would be, yeah, we're waiting for the next year. And for the drivers, yeah, I'm still backing Russell as well, but I'm not as convinced as I was before the start of the season that his title would be super easy, and Antonelli can give him a run for his money. And third place, if I have to say, it should be Lando Norris.
What about the best of the rest outside the top four teams? Who you guys expect? Will it be Alpine? They look like on pace wise currently best of the rest, but do you think this will continue throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, I still back them, and I also back Pierre Gasly to be best of the rest in drivers. He may even be higher than Isaac Hadjar, and I'm still defending my prediction that in some chaotic race throughout the season, Gasly would be on the podium.
Okay, so yeah, I'm also backing Mercedes for constructors, and then McLaren, Ferrari. George Russell, I also think he'll manage to take the title, even though I really like him Antonelli as well, but I feel like that, I don't know, his inexperience will have his
If it is about preferences, if I had to pick Russell or Kimi, I would pick Kimi.
Yeah, I mean, based on like facts and not preference, but like performance-wise, I feel like Russell will manage. And then for P3, it's really close because I don't know, like depends, because right now it looks like Norris will take it, but maybe
If George Russell loses this championship, like him as a driver will seriously fall in my eyes. Like, I mean, Kimi Antonelli.
His stocks would be like.
Kimi Antonelli is a generational talent, absolutely, and like he's been a prodigy since his karting days. But I feel like this quickly to get dominated by him. I mean, Max Verstappen was also a prodigy, and he was expected to become great, but it took him a while to beat Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
And Daniel Ricciardo was extremely competitive against him when they were in the same car. So the fact that George Russell is, especially after last season, like he outscored Kimi by like 2/3 the points, and to be losing to him is inexcusable.
Yeah, and for my best of the rest, I'm sticking with Haas and Oli Berman. I won't change my predictions. So yeah, I still believe in them. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And maybe we can move to the fun rubric now. I'll start with my highlight of the weekend, which was McLaren's competitiveness. As we said, like really their turnaround of pace, let's say, and performance has been amazing, and they're really looking like the second best team right now, I think. And very impressive from their drivers as well. They were like almost perfect this weekend. So.
Yeah, absolutely. McLaren, I don't know, did they score maybe the most points this weekend?
Yeah,
because of the 1-2 in the
Probably.
sprint and second and third in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I'd like to point out that before this weekend, I don't think any of us were going to say that McLaren were going to finish ahead of Ferrari in the constructors. How much one race can change. So
Yeah, recency bias.
yeah, Ferrari's still ahead of them.
True.
So
Yeah.
we shouldn't jump to conclusions this quickly. But considering Ferrari's history, we shouldn't expect much from them. My highlight of the weekend is actually that Kimi Antonelli continues dominating George Russell. I am continued to be astounded by this, and as I said, I don't think Kimi Antonelli has done anything particularly impressive, but he's just racking up these results like it's nothing, and the fact that he's like so convincingly beating George Russell, like it's not even like they're next to each other on track, like they are
Far
miles
away.
away
Yeah.
from each other. So this is unbelievable, and if Kimi Antonelli continues doing this, I will absolutely be mind blown. But he deserves it, you know, considering what he's doing against such a talented driver. So yeah.
My highlight is that actually Mercedes' dominance is not as convincing as we thought. And before the start of the season, I thought that they would sweep the floor with everybody. And after all the races, yes, they have won all of them. But at the same time, I see a little change of fortunes in the upcoming few races and actually till the end of the season. And I don't think that they will be as convincing as I thought before. And even if some team like McLaren or Ferrari, if they bring some kind of a game-changing upgrade, then by the end of the season, who knows, we can have a battle for constructors or for the drivers. But we'll see. We're so early in the season that we don't know. The whole picture can be like absolutely different in 5 races. So we will see, but I don't think that it will be as easy as everybody expected for Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in 2024, for example, when Red Bull dominated the first races and everyone thought they were going to run away with it. And then McLaren's development, I think they were running third actually in the championship for the majority of the season, and they overtook Ferrari and Red Bull towards the end and won the constructors. So very possible to see something like that as well. Now we can go to surprise and disappointments of the weekend. I can start. My surprise, Franco Colapinto. I thought he was just incredible. I thought he was the driver of the weekend, honestly. Like, no mistakes. He was fighting far ahead of the rest of the midfield. Out-qualified Gasly both times. Was both times in Q3. Finished P7. Just, what else is there to say about Franco Colapinto? Very impressive. Disappointment, I have put Ferrari because what was that? Like, terrible. Just the pace was not where it should be. The strategy was questionable as usual. Lewis Hamilton was nowhere. Charles Leclerc spinning on the last lap, and basically within a span of a lap went from 3rd to 8th, which is like, you cannot be dropping these kinds of points if you want to be competitive in this championship. And just as a whole, super messy weekend from them. Yeah, very disappointing and lost a lot of points.
Yeah, for my surprise, I also want to give my flowers to Franco Colapinto. Of course, amazing weekend. But what I was truly surprised was that Williams took double points, which is, we have to repeat it for like 1,000 times throughout this video, but their car doesn't have a great pace, but still taking 3 points with such a poor car is something really good for Williams and something that I definitely did not expect. And for my disappointment, Isaac Hatcher, it was like everything that could have gone wrong throughout the weekend. 0 points, really poor qualifying session, starting from the pit, involving into a crash that is like 110% his fault. It was just probably the worst weekend of his F1 career, and I hope he will bounce back, actually, in Canada. Why not?
Yeah, my surprise is the same as David, that's Colapinto, and my disappointment is Charles Leclerc. As already mentioned, the last lap was horrible. I think this is what brought me here and made me decide But I mean, also at the beginning of the race, he was like so far ahead of the others. I was like, is this finally
Such
Ferrari's
a great
day?
start. I was
Yeah.
so excited.
Yeah, and then after that, we saw how it all ended. So yeah, really disappointing from Charles. Let's see if he can pick it up in Canada.
If you told me after that first lap that he was gonna finish 8th, I probably would have jumped out of my window.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we have predictions, reacting to our final ever predictions. So, Harry, you can start with your predictions.
Okay. So my correct one was Williams' points, and they even got double points. So I'm very happy with
Crazy.
that.
Yeah.
And my other one was really close, but it did not happen. Mercedes to have less than 1/10 advantage in quali. I think the difference was around 1.5, like 150,000. No, what is it? Okay, thousands, whatever. So I was close, but not close enough. So yeah, only one.
Yeah, but
correct.
still, Verstappen was surprisingly close to Antonelli.
Yeah.
The whole weekend, actually, Verstappen's qualifying pace was really good.
Yep.
Yeah. My predictions. I had Kimi Antonelli DNFing. I mean, on lap 1, he wasn't far away from DNFing, but
Yeah.
he survived and went on to win the race, so definitely wrong. My other one, though, quite happy with this because this is exactly what I expected to happen. Like, Max Verstappen finishes in front of Hamilton. It was exactly the kind of like race as well I expected from Lewis Hamilton to be kind of nowhere. This is a track where he's never really been good at. And I felt like Max Verstappen, who was actually nowhere near him in the first 3 races, this will be the race where he will beat Lewis Hamilton just purely based on the performance they would have on this track. So, yeah, one correct prediction for me as well.
I also have one correct prediction, which is super random prediction, and that was that Lionel Messi was going to be in the paddock, and he was there. So I feel like I deserve some praise for this prediction.
It was big news as well. So
Yeah, good job. Yeah.
And my other prediction was that the two Haas cars would collide. They didn't. So every one of us we're shaking our hands, taking one last point.
hey, at least we all got a point to end our careers as predictors.
Yeah. Not like Fernando Alonso.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, shout out for Fernando Alonso. We all love him and we feel like he deserves better than Aston Martin. And before we end it, guys, let's say in the next 5 years, what are some random expectations for the sport that you have?
I saw it this week, but I feel like F1 will bring back the V8 engines. Let's see if it's gonna happen before 2031. But I saw the MBS
They
FIA
confirmed it,
president.
I believe.
Yeah, I think the FIA president said that they're going to do it. So
Yeah, I think they're waiting for approval from
Yeah.
all teams in F1, which
but,
is always complicated.
how do we feel about this?
This would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be definitely better.
It just depends how much electrical energy will influence the engines. I hope that it is at a minimum, but it will be great for the sport if they manage to do it.
Yeah, because right now it's really close to Formula E and what it offers. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think that under the current ownership of F1, we're going to go more electric and electric. In 5 years, when we all talk about it, and we'll be like, whoa, we expected something different.
They, if you remember a long time ago, they said that they aim to be net zero by 2030. That's only 4 years away, and I don't know if they bring back V8 engines if they will be net zero, but
We will see.
they still, even though they are continuing to be obviously very successful business-wise, the new owners, like these regulations, although they're very entertaining, there's still like a lot of complaints about them, so they need to take that into consideration. My prediction, so before this season, I would have actually predicted that Alpine would fold by like 2030 based on how mismanaged they were. But they dropped the Renault engines and shockingly, they are now performing good. I
Who would have
mean,
guessed?
it's sad because Renault, very historic, so, but it had to be done.
You have to adapt.
You have to, yeah. But I don't know. I would say now my prediction would be that Aston Martin will probably be sold by 2030.
So it won't be Lawrence Stroll
Yes.
at the wheel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be
Ridiculous.
rebranded to something.
Yeah, they will
Yeah,
most
because
likely.
They have the facilities, they have like the staff. They just need better management, as you said. That's
Yeah,
what
but
they need.
if because I don't know if Lance Stroll no longer wants to drive an F1, even though he looks like he genuinely doesn't want to drive an F1, I feel like Lawrence Stroll's job is done in this sport. Like honestly, like,
Yes.
there's no core motivation to run this team. Like sure he's a businessman, but he doesn't understand of running a sports organization and
Yeah.
how to become successful.
Okay, so do we predict that they're going to perform better in 5 years if they have new management, like Aston Martin?
Well, no, my prediction is that the team will be sold. I don't
Okay.
know if they'll.
Well,
they
I
cannot.
don't
They
think
cannot
that,
be worse
I
than
don't
this.
think that it doesn't get worse than this.
Like,
so.
yeah.
There, if they would be worse than this, like they would not be on the grid. So.
Yeah, fair. Okay, and do we have predictions on who is going to perform best in 5 years? Like maybe drivers, teams. Do we have any?
Well,
wild predictions?
there are a few questions that we can get out from this. The first thing is, do you think that Verstappen is going to be in the sport
No.
5 years from now?
I don't think so. But if they bring the V8s, he
Well,
may consider coming back. I don't know, but in the current, like with the current regulations, I don't feel like he's gonna stay for long. Yeah.
Well, I think like half the drivers on the grid won't be in the sport for one reason or another. Right?
Yeah, like also Hamilton, Alonso.
Well, but yeah, but
Perez.
most of them, I expect like 5 years from now, I expect Antonelli, Russell, Norris, Piastri, Leclerc to still be in the sport.
Yeah, also some young guys like Oli Behrman, also probably
Bortoleto.
Nicola Solov, Rafa Kamara, such drivers, I would say.
Hopefully, Nicole.
Well,
Yeah.
For these like next 5 years, I guess, who would be the champions? You would predict.
Okay, so for this year, we already said George Russell, all of us, right?
Well, I feel like with these regulations and with everything happening, it would be super
we can
surprising
exclude this year.
in 5. Yeah, but it would be super surprising if in 5 years Antonelli doesn't have at least one F1 title.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say the same for honestly Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, he deserves one. as
Oscar
well.
Piastri, I would hope he gets. I think he will get a world championship in that time.
Okay, so important question. What about George Russell and Charles Leclerc? Are they finally going to get their
Well,
titles?
George Russell, this is the year, right?
George Russell, I feel like yes, especially in that Mercedes. And 5 years from now, I'll be ready to talk about Charles Leclerc to be the best F1 driver without a title.
Go watch our last episode.
But I also, last episode, AUBG Daily, YouTube. But I also feel like Ferrari are not going to have a championship in 5 years. And if it is concerning right now, 5 years from now, it would be even more concerning. And there would be like some general transitions that should be made in the team because what is done currently is not working.
Yeah, I mean, do we think like Fred Vasseur will be like fired after this season?
Potentially. Depends on where they finish. I don't know. It's like third
but-
place.
but
Even if they
I'm
finish
sure.
second, like he has been there since 2023.
So
Yeah,
that's
to
like
3
his
years.
fourth year now. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's done. What are his results? His results have been.
Well, nothing.
I mean, 2024 was. If he won the championship that year, at least you could have said, okay, they won the constructors, but they didn't.
They
win
didn't.
either.
They were really close.
They were very close.
Yeah.
Still failure.
And
Yeah.
I'm like 100% sure that in 5 years Fred will not be in the team.
Well, obviously, I think in 2 years,
Yeah.
2 years.
I have another prediction. I feel like in 5 years, Haas will already be sold to Toyota because I think that Toyota, like they're increasing their participation in the team and they want to come back to F1. So Haas as a team itself will not be on the grid in 5 years. I feel.
Yeah, it is possible. And what do you think about the new teams actually? How do you feel about Cadillac? Do you think that they would be in the middle or they're going to be a bottom
Well,
feeders?
the good thing is for them, I believe by 2027, they will have their own engine.
Yes. Yeah.
Or by 28, I'm not exactly sure, but during this regulation cycle, they will make their own engine, which should improve them. I think Audi, based on the fact that they're Audi, they should become like in that top echelon of teams, like your Mercedes, your Ferraris, McLarens, Red Bulls. So Audi should get in that conversation, I would expect. It'll take time for Cadillac. I honestly think that they won't. First of all, they need to get in the midfield because they're a back marker right now, but they won't exceed beyond like a
Fifth.
no, fifth is even too high for me.
Like
I think
seventh?
like seventh at most as a constructor.
I don't know.
It's very difficult as a brand new team.
I don't know why, but I see them like the successor of Force India. They would be something like Force India.
So achieve like
the-
occasional podiums or
Yeah, here and there, and to be that defining midfield team in 5 years, the same way it was, because they never had the best drivers, but they had consistent drivers who, on their days, were really good.
I feel like I expect Haas to be that. Because Haas, like Force India, have no budget and they are, I mean, I would say like they had obviously some years where they were at the back, but when they're in the midfield, like they're outperforming like such juggernauts that like Alpine Williams, for example.
I feel like Haas would become more like what Alfa Romeo was at the end of the 2010s, and they would become more like a satellite to Ferrari, but
I mean, they've
we'll see,
always been
we'll
like-
see about that.
They've always been.
Okay, but what about, for example, Williams? Do you feel like they're going to finally go back to the top of the
I'm not sure about them. I would be really happy when we watch that 5 years from now to say that okay, Williams, they're let's say the third or the fourth best team and they're taking a win here and there, but I just don't see it. I feel like McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, even Red Bull, who are questionable from time to time, would be better than them.
Red Bull after Max Verstappen is a whole other story. though.
Exactly. I was
So,
gonna ask you
Yeah,
because I feel like the team will just go like
I think they will
backwards.
go down.
Yeah.
Once
Which
once
makes-
Verstappen leaves, they will plummet into the midfield.
Yeah, which is bad for the young drivers, especially like Solf and Lindblad and others.
Yeah, but the team has to change its identity because for 22 years in the sport,
21?
20.
Since 2005.
Five. So
Yeah,
the
they-
22nd
Isn't
year
this
now.
22nd season?
Yeah.
For 22 seasons, for 20 of them, let's say, they have been defined by a few people. The first one, Dietrich Mateschitz, of course, rest in peace, and also Dr. Helmut Marko and Christian Horner, and Vettel, of course, and after that Verstappen, Adrian Newey,
Yeah.
but no one of them would probably be there in 5 years' time, which is why Red Bull they have the resources. They have everything. They have the history in F1. So the hardest thing for my favorite team would be to find that new image that would define them.
I mean, the most impressive thing of Red Bull is because they're not like an automotive company. Like they are not like Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari. They are an energy drinks company, and they established such a reputation in Formula One that they are now like a household name at this point in Formula One. So this is still a big team. Even after Max Verstappen leaves, it will forever be a big team considering the amount of success they've had. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some kind of like analogy of like another sport, but I don't know really. Like it's like for example, like in the Premier League, you know how you used to have like the big three, for example, Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal, and they're kind of like, your Chelsea's that they broke into that, and now they've established themselves as the big teams. So they will forever be in that kind of echelon, even if their performance doesn't speak it at some point, because I think that they will continue to fall, especially after Max Verstappen falls. But they will find ways.
Yeah, they will
Their
find the
academy
right
is
way.
by far the best in motorsport, so they have strong opportunities to get good drivers.
Yes, so I feel like in the next 10 years, I feel like it is absolutely possible for them to have a championship driver material driving for the team, and also that they can be in the next 10 years they will be in the mix for the title at least once or twice, but we'll see. And one last absolutely random prediction that I want to give is that sometime in the next 5 years McLaren would go back OG with their livery and with their whole design, and they will become silver with a bit of a red again.
Oh, like the Vodafone. Or
Yeah.
Yeah, they just need a sponsor who has this color in their logo. Let's say.
I doubt it. I feel like they have branded themselves at this
papaya,
point.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
like they've really emphasized on this. So
Yeah, I saw that their hypercar in WEC is also going to be papaya.
they've made this their color. So
Yeah.
I don't expect them to change it. Also, I mean, what I would also like to see in 5 years, I've wished this ever since I started watching F1, but I want Racing Bulls to be sold to an independent company so that we can fully have 11 teams that work independently, because in my opinion it is not fair for Red Bull to have 2 teams in the same sport.
Yeah, and that should be part of this new image of Red Bull that we've been talking about, because Helmut Marko was the main guy who was working with the development drivers, with the young core of this team, and we saw like all the issues, all the stuff with that team, but we saw that it can be effective with Vettel, with Ricciardo, and after that with Verstappen, but I don't think that model is sustainable anymore. So in the next 2-3 years, I also feel like it would be better both for Red Bull and for the sport if they can sell that team and think of the new image of the team and how they can actually promote drivers.
Yeah, and even if they're not promoting drivers, like they shouldn't just solely rely on their academy, because there are tons of great drivers that they could take from other teams as well. I mean, like when Carlos Sainz was leaving Ferrari, I thought they should have invested in him. Obviously, I wasn't expecting them to based on his history with the team, but like they should also explore options outside of Red Bull. And when they did, they got Sergio Perez, and Sergio Perez performed pretty well for them, at least in the beginning. I mean, at the end, obviously, he didn't, but he was very significant to their first championships. So, yeah, they should, I feel like, have more of an open mind.
Yeah, so I feel like that's everything. That is our last race recap.
Yeah. So hopefully we're going to have one last episode, special one. And till then, like, subscribe, and watch our other episodes that we did before on AUBG Daily's YouTube channel and on Spotify. You can listen to them there as well. And thank you, and remember, if you no longer forgot it exists,
You're no longer a racing driver.